If you're like most people, you're getting tired of the news, you're getting tired of the fear mongering, you're getting tired of this constant need to be on the edge of your seat. And I'm the type of person, I like to have good knowledge. I like to know what's really going on, sift through the BS, because I learned a long time ago that there's so much propaganda on the left and on the right. It just depends upon, which cup of tea you're going to end up drinking. And a lot of people tell me that I'm a bootlicker for either Biden or Trump, and I am neither. And so I want to sit back and talk to you about what's really going on in the world in kind of a bird's eye view versus kind of like in the trenches, because I think that so many people just hear story after story after story that they don't really put the dots together, or they're not getting the full story because some of it's hysteria and some of it's not. And so I kind of want to break that down for you. Since I did my video a few days ago, since I did my live stream, uh, there's been a lot of stuff that's going on right now. China and Russia and the United States are preparing for war against each other. That's just an inevitable fact. A lot of things that people don't know is that Germany belongs to us because we conquered Germany. Germany was split into three. The Americans got one section, the Russians got one section, and the British got one section. And so therefore, and that's how they split. They split it from Berlin out to the rest of the country, and that's kind of how the whole Berlin Wall came to be to begin with, for those of you that are not old enough to know this. Um, and the other thing is, just the same as World War II, we own Japan too. And so now we're starting to get Japan militarized. They're starting to buy planes and surveillance gear and stuff like that to be able to work in conjunction, starting to work in conjunction with NATO. There are certain countries like the Philippines belongs to us as well. So then that means we have another launching pad. Although we gave them their independence in the same way that we gave Panama away, we gave it with strings attached. You stay loyal to America, you can govern yourselves. It's a lot like what the Canadians do. When we need you, you better be here. But other than that, have a nice day. And generally, we haven't needed them except for to put pressure on Japan during World War II, and to put pressure on China in the modern age. So to think that these guys are ever going to go away, or any hysteria like, oh, Japan this and that and the other, technically they can't. Because we own them. We conquered them. We own them. We own all of Japan and a third of Germany. And so, therefore, Germany has to do what we say. And here's another thing that's happening that most people don't really understand is that when Trump put these tariffs in, not only did we get to see our friends war, but he actually, it was kind of like, it's kind of like lifting up a rock and watching all the cockroaches or all the bugs scatter. And when he put those tariffs on, we got to see who our friends were, who our foes were, who the people that were dependent on us were. We have all these different understandings now of who really was who. So, in some sense, what Trump did with this is not a bad idea. It at least let us know where we really are, because media keeps feeding us this, one narrative or another. The world hates us, the world loves us, we're the greatest nation on earth, and everybody wants our dollar and all this other stuff. Well, people kept coming to the dollar until all of a sudden we got a couple of whack job presidents that decided to be really screwy. We had one side and now we've got the other side, and then we're just watching these. We got to watch our last our last couple of leaders just completely rip this country apart and deface us in front of the rest of the nation, because we had one trying to line his own pockets, and one that's got an ego so big it can't be tamed. And in some instances that's worked, but when he was in office in 2016, the world was on its heels. Now they know he's coming back, they're already prepared for it, and they ain't going to take that, because that's not how you operate on a world stage, as much as we would like to. What we need is a well-tempered president. He happens to be loud and really say what a lot of people think. But here's the thing: that's a lot of this is propaganda, because the United States does create product and does export. It's this lie that we export nothing is something that is fueling the fire between the left and the right. The reality is, we let all our textiles and stuff like that go over to third world countries because we now have technology. We That is what our export is. Our export is technology and demand for goods because we have a thriving economy. But when you have politicians that come in and act like a giant wrecking ball, Biden with his crap, and now Trump with his tariffs, all it's doing is it's taking the thing that we had that gave us the most power, and it's taking it from us, in a point where, like, okay, think of it this way. You had $10. Now that you're going to go buy an object for like $5, but because of all this tariff crap that's going on, it's now $7, $8. So now you have less money to spend, which means you have less money to put into the economy. Okay, we're a consumer-based economy because we create something higher. Okay, just like you have an evolution of, you start creating, stone tools to bronze to, all the different ages that we went through. We are in the technological age, and as being one of the most advanced nations in technology, maybe not in freedom but in technology, this is what gives us our power in the world, because the rest of the world wants our technology. They want to use it. They want to integrate it because what does it do? It solves a problem, makes things more efficient, makes things so that you can be more productive, so that you can get more done, so that you can actually create something. And technology in some ways is helping create economies all over the world because it allows the guy like me who's out in the middle of the desert to create a design on a shirt, put it on a website, and have them print on demand for anybody that wants any of my shirts. I mean, technology allows people to be able to be in a rural, to be off grid, to be even in a third world country and have an opportunity. And so that is what we were exporting to the world. Who gives a shit if we make this and make that and da 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 da? That's nostalgia. That's your 70-year-old grandpa who's so busy worrying about what it was like in the heydays when he thought the world was good. Well, guess what? It's not 1950 anymore. It's 2025. And the world has changed, and whether you want it to or not, you have to adapt and improvise and overcome. And how do you do that? Well, you know what? Technology is our export. Technology is a game changer. It lowers the barrier to be able for a person to be able to make money. And so we talk about how great capitalism is. So why are we putting tariffs on the rest of the world? Okay, we need them to make that stuff cheaply because we've got technology that we're going to export to the rest of the world. We make the highest end items here, okay? And that's what we have. Quit worrying about bringing textile plants over and this plant and that plant and growing up the military, because if you look the way that the news is going, when BRICS takes over, we're going to have a one world government, whether you want to or not. That's where the world ID is coming from. They're probably going to come up with a world coin because anybody should be able to conduct commerce and not gain or lose value based upon currency exchange. Because if I give you $1, well, that currency exchange is like $900 in your currency and stuff like that. Why not dollar for dollar? I send you $1, you got $1. Everything's very similar. It makes things a lot more cohesive. And also for those that are like buying in areas where you can buy it dirt cheap and selling it in areas where it's very scarce and they know they can get top dollar for it. Now you're making it so that everybody is pretty much on the same playing field, because a guy in India can get something much cheaper and have access to certain things that I don't have access to, such as manufacturing in a local level, to be able to get certain things done. So there are advantages and disadvantages. And if you start listening to the news around AI, this is one of the big things that they're perpetuating is a world government governed by artificial intelligence. And if you don't think that we're going to do it, and if you don't think that Trump's going to do it, who do you think started the AI arms race to begin with? Donald Trump. Donald Trump has invited Elon Musk into government computers, and he has allowed them to he's allowed them to harvest all the data, because once you go into the Social Security Administration, that is every single American that exists. So now they have a database of us. Not that they didn't already, but to be able to have technology and to have it influence the way it is, that's where it starts to become scary, because we're finding out that artificial intelligence is lying to us to be able to achieve its objectives, and it's being deviant, and it is already trying to circumvent the system and cheat to win. And this is in its infancy. We haven't even seen its true capabilities yet. They're just now starting to scrap LLM and go to a whole new language because they need something better for reasoning. And so that means, and they don't have enough data. And what is the richest data you could get? The Social Security Administration, the UK, the different administrations that Doge is going through, and they're creating GSAI. The richest administrations that they're going through, that have the richest amount of data, they have to have it, and it has to be, it's going to be there. And if you're doing something for free, it just means you're not doing it for cash. You're going to take something else. So all that information and stuff like that he gained to train his AI so that he could help America win the arms race. Okay, now that's you and mine. And this is supposed to be a guy that's about American freedom. How is this about freedom? We just lost our privacy. The only way you can get privacy is to go on a third-party platform that doesn't require that is kind of like community based. So, for example, come on over to my Patreon, and once you're behind that paywall, the whole world changes, because you can be open. You don't have to worry about this. If you're worried about digital IDs, you don't even have to worry about having that there. You could go in and be a part of a community and not have to worry about your privacy, because now you get to have privacy in that little realm. And so this is going to be our pockets of privacy that we're going to have in the future with all this technology that's being integrated. Companies are integrating it. They can already automate 20% of the workforce. Nobody wants to listen to it. Artificial intelligence is even making a play even on YouTube and content creators. And it's coming after everybody. Nobody is going to get away unscathed. It's those that adapt and improvise and overcome that have the ability to succeed over those who will fail. Okay, and so I'm inviting you to become a subscriber if you like this raw and unedited. Thanks for being here. I will see you in the next one.